but we still need to keep reminding us of those lessons every day. Just get started just getting started is one lesson among them, and the other two are don't quit and do hard things.
We were really pissed off about the experience. We think that we deserve more. So at that time, I think that, okay, so I will be a startup. I will teach you how to do the business in real life.
Hello everyone, welcome. David, your host here for Leverage Asia.
Hello folks, welcome to Leverage Asia.
Welcome to Leverage Asia, everybody. How many more unicorns can Southeast Asia sustain?
Should more people be open to this kind of thing and leverage Asia in that kind of way? Or is this not meant for everybody? Hello everybody, welcome to Leverage Asia. Today we have two guests, all right? They're co-founders of a startup called MindPal. And here we go, without further ado. Hi guys, welcome.
Hi everyone, I'm doing very well.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Tuan, CTO of MindPal. Yeah, it's the night is my time. It's a little bit late, but I'm doing very well.
Okay, nice. Hey guys, tell us a little more about yourselves. I know you just said your names, but just because some of our audience members don't speak Vietnamese, could you repeat your name and what you do at MindPal? And tell us a little more about MindPal.
I forgot to share my name. So my name is Tham. So it's my real name in Vietnamese. If you have ever been to Vietnam, you will find that my name is pretty rare. I was born. A little bit about me. I was born and raised in Da Nang, the city in the center of Vietnam, and I have been living and growing there until I got to college, where I studied at Vinh University, and that's where Tuan and I met. And I think Tuan can carry our story. Tuan can continue. Yeah.
Yeah, different from Tham. My name is Tuan, a very popular name for men in Vietnam. It mean both handsome and smart. So my mother got that name from me because we see a lot of successful entrepreneur has those names. So about MindPal, we are building a platform that people can go there and build their own AI agent and multi-agent workflow, and they can use those agent and multi-agent workflow to automate a lot of tasks in their business. For example, sales, writing the outbound email, or marketing, create content at scale, or for training purpose for their employee. So that is basically what we are doing. We have been operating for the last 10 months, and at the beginning of this year, we decided to take this business to the next level by raising the funding from David here and incorporate the company called MindPal Lab, and we continue to grow until now.
Quick question, just because some people don't understand MindPal's amazing success, could you just share with us some of the accomplishments that have happened over the last 10 months?
Yeah. To be honest, we often talk to each other that we could have never believed that we did what we did until we did it, because just 1 year ago, Tuan and I were still pretty lost in our startup journey. We knew that we wanted to do this thing, but at that time we had a lot of doubts about the journey we were going, and whether we had what it takes to achieve success. But we feel fortunate that we didn't give up around that time, and that led us to found MindPal. So some achievements that we have achieved was that I still remember vividly the day we launched. It was August 13th, 2023. And fun fact, we just built MindPal over the weekend. So we just built it 2 days before the launch. It was a super simple one-page app. It was still very buggy, yet we decided to launch it anyway with a payment gateway. And to our surprise, that launch got quite viral. And the impact of that launch lasted almost like 2 or 3 weeks after that. And over that time frame, we have acquired already like nearly 100 paying customers around that time. And we also got to meet and close our first B2B customer as well. And from that point, we kept growing MindPal, both the product and we kept talking to the customers and grow our sales as well. And MindPal has been constantly breaking records. I think we every few months we would break the records of the revenue we generated. For now, we have been consistently making around 20K per month. So that's a little bit about us. Yeah.
That's really good. By the way, 20K per month, 20K MRR month, right? Monthly recurring revenue is really, really good for a company that's not been around for even a year. So congratulations to both of you. You guys, it's amazing. You guys are right. Just to start the journey, that cold start is the hardest thing. Was this your first startup? I don't think it was your first startup, right? You've had experience before, correct?
Yeah. I think I have never been talking about my first startup for a while. It's called Speak Lab. When we found in 2022, when I was in the summer of the second year of college, and Sylvia was in the summer of the freshman year. So it was the summer, and actually at that time we always had the plan. I have the internship at the US in open science lab. I will do the AI internship at that point, and the roadmap is I will be joining the PhD program at the UIUC or MIT or any other kind of top school in the computer science and AI. And that is a path forward for me, and that's what I think. And for Sylvia, I remember that she was taking the internship at Cornell, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so I just got an acceptance letter from Cornell University for an internship, for an summer internship as well.
Yeah, and but the turning point is actually quite funny to look at right now. Is that we joined a small competition in Vietnam about business analyst or whatever. I don't actually quite remember that, but that is a competition where they have a case study about a bank in Vietnam, and they are request a solution for their bank, and it's just a normal competition for students in university to go there and pitch, and there will be some just to score our presentation, and they will give the prize to us, and and we made it to the final round of that competition, and there was 5 teams in the final round, and in the presentation we feel that we were the best team because we structured the presentation pretty well. We know how to tell the story. We have the insight internally in that bank. What is the problem there? Because our mentor was employee there, and we are pretty sure that we will get the top one. But actually, we only got top 4, but top 4 over 5. So it's pretty sad for us, and we were really pissed off about the experience. We think that we deserve more. So at that time, I think that okay, so I will be a startup. I will teach you how to do the business in real life. So that is actually the reason why I launched my first startup. It's actually very funny like that. And I dropped the internship. I wrote the email to the professor. I told him that okay, I will do the startup right now. I feel that taking the PhD would be a really long time for me. I want to take risks. I want to be rich now. I want to be rich fast. I don't want to take just long time. And so we just do the first startup, and we because at that time I had my personal problem about speaking English when I was in the high school. I cannot meet the qualification for the English certificate to join my university. So actually, I have to join a kind of special program from them called the Pathway English Program to meet the qualification. And I think that there are a lot of students in Vietnam, they don't have access to the high standard education like that. And we can do that with AI. So the first startup is a tool to help students practice presentation or English speaking skill with AI. They will practice and the AI will give them the scoring on how they perform when they speak.
Okay, I see. I see. You know what I found most interesting about that story is you both had these amazing opportunities, right? Cornell, MIT, UIUC, but you got pissed off. You went to this competition, it pissed you off. And you're like, no, I'm gonna prove it to you. And you went off to do this. Speak. It's called Speak, right? What it was called? Speak Lab?
Speak Lab.
Speak
Speak
Lab?
Lab. Yeah.
Okay, Speak Lab. So how'd it go? Speak Lab. Did it go rocket or did it fail? What happened with Speak Lab in the real world?
Yeah. So it was our first startup, and I think you guys can expect that we made a lot of mistakes back then. But I think the startup that startup uh, still makes generated some revenue. But I think the biggest problem back then was that we didn't talk to customers enough. So we were distracted from the core priority of a startup, which is to build a product that is very valuable to people. And instead, we were distracted by other things such as hiring problem, people managing problem, or um, or just spending too much time building a perfect product, in our opinion, without taking into consideration what our customers really need. So I think that was our biggest mistake back then, and that single mistake led to so many other problems in the company, like from ourselves not knowing the direction to go for both the product and the sales part, to our like team members losing conviction in the company we are building, and they are slowly like quiet quitting. They are not they were slowly quiet quitting in our experience. And I think that's our biggest mistake back then. Tuấn, would you like to add more things?
Yeah. I think I will summarize the failure of Speak Lab in three reasons. Is that we cannot build the product properly, we cannot sell the product properly, and we cannot take advantage of the momentum. So the building the product properly is because at that time our coding skill was suck. Actually, to be honest, it's because when we compare us as a student in the school project, we could be a good student. So, but
Yeah.
in the real world, it takes another level of the product, and the problem is that we don't know the standard that has to be delivered. We think that the standard is here, but actually started here. And we cannot plan the roadmap very well when we plan to build. And we have the problem that people call hiker in the cave. Like we think that we will hiding behind the screen, and we will try to craft the best thing that we think in our opinion. But actually when we launch that thing, no one care about that. And the second thing is that we cannot sell the product very well. Actually, honestly, although the product was suck, but we still have some opportunity at that time. We have some opportunity to sell the product to some of the biggest English institutions in Vietnam, but we cannot push the sales pipeline very well. We are having so much discussion and so much overthinking about how to sell. So after that, in MindPal, the early phase of the product, that we should try to get the customer first, and we should care about the delivery or the pricing later. But we need to try to get the customer first. But we was overthink at that time to not try to get the customer, and they was very strong in interest in the Speak Lab, and some of them they even offer us to acquire the Speak Lab because the interest in the technology. But we cannot take advantage of those offers. So we eventually we fail to sell the product, or we fail to partner with the other big player in the market. And the final reason is that we cannot take advantage on the momentum, because actually the first 2 months of Speak Lab is not really bad. Actually, we generate. I remember nearly 6,000 or 7,000 in the first 2 months by selling different stuff. But the problem is that we cannot keep the momentum. We were slowing down after that because we were burned out. And instead of recharge the energy and like keep doing, we slowing down. And when we're slowing down, the employee they slowing down too, and it's very hard to keep the momentum again. We cannot keep the ball rolling. We stop, and then we stop forever. So that is 3 reasons.
I see. You know, in some ways, Speak Labs was foundational for so much that you learned. Because you're right. It was the burnout probably, right? That really took a toll on you too. Just knowing the two of you, and getting to have known the two of you, you have the grit and the intelligence and the fight in you to actually keep going. But the problem is when you burn out, you know? And sometimes you need to press reset. So that was good though. You knew when to walk away. I think that's important too, right? Because some people will just keep going for years and years and years. And what did Albert Einstein say? It's a fool, right? To expect different results, but you're doing the same thing again and again, something like that. So what gave you the conviction to walk away from it? What was that final moment thinking, hey, you know what? I should walk away from this?
I don't think there was really a pivotal moment, like one moment that changed the whole thing. But it was a discussion that we kept for a while. Like I think for the last 1 or 2 months, we have discussed with each other a lot about what we wanted in Speak Lab and how we would like to continue. But after more and more discussion, we found out that the main thing here was that we no longer had the energy to keep going. I think that's the biggest thing. And that lack of energy, I think maybe energy may not be um, that conviction may be could be used here. Like just after we knew we have learned our lessons. We have learned the mistakes. We have two options. We could keep going, correct the mistakes, and like someday it may be a success. But from deep inside, I think we no longer have that kind of fire in our in ourselves anymore. We had to admit that it's not something we want to. We still have the fire to keep working on, as at least for the next 2 or 3 years. So that's why we decided to shut it down. How about you, Tuan? What was your thought back then?
Uh, there was two main reasons. The first one is that back to the story I told earlier, the reason why I personally want to start Speak Lab is not because I care too much about the problem or those audience, the market, but because I want to prove some stupid thing. Yeah, actually, because after a while, when there is not too much progress and we lose the momentum, I also lose the conviction and the energy about it. And when I had to do something that I did not really enjoy every day, so I feel that it's time to not do it anymore. And the second reason is because there is another more exciting opportunity with generative AI. So SpeakLab is essentially still AI, but that kind of AI is not really big and more use case and more exciting than using the AI to help the other business to grow and automating and moving faster.
No, I like that response a lot. I mean, if I am to boil it down, is it, Sylvia, Tham mentioned just the burnout, right? That just wasn't it. The burnout made you just walk away eventually. There's many things compiled, but that was the straw that broke the camel's back. And Dum, I like what you just said. I mean, I resonate with it. On the one hand, yes, you were losing interest, but then you also saw another opportunity right in front of you. Okay, and so that opportunity led you to MindPal, right? Okay,
Yeah.
that's wonderful.
Actually, the fun thing is that we learned about generative AI to build MyPal while we was working on Speak Lab. So we were still working on Speak Lab when ChatGPT came out. And ChatGPT came out on October or November 2022. At the time, we were still running Speak Lab, and right when ChatGPT came out, Tuan has the account that has access to that because he has been researching about generative AI and large language models way before everyone was hyped about it. So he has back then it was GPT 3, right? 3 or 3.5? 3?
Yeah, it was
3 and
my first year in the college. Is the GPT-3 paper came out, and it's got 2020, 2 years before. Actually, more than 3 years before ChatGPT become viral. But I actually have the access to the research at that time, and I use it regularly to write my essay at that time too. That is why I can pass a lot of essay stuff in the college at that time. And so that is one of the reasons why I decided I had to take advantage of the AI because back to the freshman year, actually I have built a simple app, very simple to write essay for me. And it was 2020. So there's no player in AI at that time. That is too big to compete. And it's just a school project. I use it, and my friend also use that app. But I never launched the app. I never care about startup. And I always think that if I can, and I have a skill set right now at that time, and take the advantage. So I will be super rich right now. With those
you could be Jasper AI or Copy AI right now,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I could be a unicorn right now, which I
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but like a lot of people says that there is a lot of space to discover in the AI. So the writing stuff is the first thing. That's the first use case people think about when we have some kind of code generation machine with the AI. But there will be the more use case. So there is not too late. It's actually quite soon to join the game.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
obviously I don't want to miss out the opportunity.
Yeah. No, it's genius because part of the joy of me doing what I do in Vietnam and Southeast Asia and then Asia in general is to find amazing companies by amazing founders like yourselves. So that's cool. It's good that you have created something that could have been a unicorn, but you were a student and it was just not the right timing. Can I ask you guys this then? For those of our audience members who are listening to this and they still might not get it, they might not understand what makes MindPal so special. Why is it so special? Why are people paying for this? How is it different from me paying for just a ChatGPT account, right? Or just another account out there. Why pay? Why are people paying for MindPal? What's going on here?
So the difference between the MindPal with the normal ChatGPT, a Gemini account or a Claude account from the Anthropic is that when you build the agent in the MindPal, you have the full customization to pick the model you want to use. You can change every kind of setting, the configuration like the prompt, the training the knowledge source, the temperature or the sample example, the styling for the writing, the custom integration with the other tools you are using. In the MindPal, we make the whole process. Just normally we need an engineer to build that, an engineer to build the custom agent and GPT for you. In the MindPal, we solve an end-to-end workflow problem like that. We make it just simple. People just come and you do not need to worry about like what is my prompt engineer skill or what model I choose or what is the best way to train the AI on your knowledge and what is the way to connect with your tool. That is the problem that a lot of people, like majority of people, they cannot get the way they can do it. And in MindPal, it's just like one-click process. And the next step in MindPal, the killer feature is that you can connect these agents together. Because when you do some kind of complicated process or task, for example, you want to create the educational content. It's actually a process that involves a lot of smaller steps. For example, you have to do the research about the topic first, and you have to create the outline of the course, and then from the outline, you create the detailed outline and the detailed curriculum for the course, and then you create and after that step, you generate the lecture for each lesson in the curriculum. And then finally, you have to double check and review the lecture. And in the MindPal, you can build different agents for each step, and then you connect with them together. And the beautiful thing is that it may sound a quite complicated process, like building different agents, connect them all together to solve a quite complicated task, but actually in MindPal, it's just a two-click process. Two-click because you have to generate the workflow first and then you run it. It's just two-click, but it's like two-click, take like roughly 1 minute to build, and then you can save the hour of work from that. And so that is the power of MindPal.
So it's almost like to be able to execute these multiple agents. Do I need to be able to do some sort of sequential thinking well? Do I need to be able to organize my sequence well before I deploy these multiple agents? Or can I, sometimes, I'm thinking, oh, I think about this, but I think later, oh, I need this, oh, I need that. And so I could maybe add it on later.
Yes, of course. So you can always edit that later. So We on MyPal, we understand that not everybody has the time and energy like to do everything manually, and not everyone is an expert at prompt engineering. So that's why we just ask ourselves, why not use AI to assist our users throughout the entire process? Not just use AI to generate the final output of what you're trying to do, but also use AI to help you set it up. So that's why on MindPal, if you just have a very rough idea about what you're gonna do, you can just let MindPal know, and it will generate the initial workflow for you. If you don't like it, if you want to change everything, tweak something here and there, you can always do it later.
That's really cool. You know, I think essentially what MindPal does in some ways, at least for me when I played with it, is that it actually is much prettier for a non-technical guy to use. So I like that a lot. But also it is, you're right, I can use all the different open source or whatever tools out there, right? Have you heard of the term compound AI? I heard that recently at Silicon Valley. It's compound AI. Are you familiar with that term?
No, could you explain
Yeah,
about
no.
it?
No. I'm curious because basically what compound AI means is you're compounding the different AIs out there on top of each other, right? And the AI technology, by the way, to create something that's unique use case, right? So maybe you're compounding OpenAI on top of something else, like a platform, and then you're putting another layer. So you're layering different things on top of each other and compounding it to create a solution. And they use the term compound AI. Yeah.
Yeah.
How MindPal in some ways is compound AI, but yet different. Because, right? It's different. It's compounding, but then you're also compounding like ChatGPT with Grok, right? With everybody. Gemini. They're all there.
Yeah.
Yeah, correct? Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, recently, I do a interview, a presentation call with a client, and we pitch about the solution, the implementation roadmap for them, and then how we should proceed the deal in the next meeting. And at the end of the call, one of the a kind of head of IT in their company, he finally asked me the question about like so finally MindPal is a wrapper on top of a lot of model like OpenAI, GPT, Claude, Gemini, or Llama 3, and a lot of the model out there. And what makes the difference here between MindPal and using the model directly? So I think for a lot of company, they also have those kind of embarrassed about they are a wrapper on top of something. But actually, I was a physics student in the high school. I studied electrical engineering and computer science in the school. And in the school, when I attend the class, I still remember today one of the things that when I interview for the college, the professor told me that for engineering students, the two most important capability is the abstraction and automation. Automation is very simple to know. Like the engineer should automate things for the business guy. But actually, the abstraction is because in technology, everything is an abstraction on top of the other thing. For example, the computer is the abstraction on top of the electrical circuit. The electrical circuit is the abstraction on top of the atom physics. And the large language model is the abstraction on top of the hardware that NVIDIA are selling. And the software is the abstraction on top of the database. And the AI application right now is the abstraction on top of the large language model. And we try to build a solution for the business owner, for the entrepreneur, and for people to make their life easier. And we are not trying to build the large language model. The large language model companies, they are trying to sell the solution to us, and we sell the solution to the other people to make it easier for them to solve their use case. So I think it's just a history, a kind of history about the technology when we refer back. Everything is just an abstraction. I think the compound AI is actually a new term for me. But actually, I think it's pretty similar to what we have seen with the computer or the Web 2 revolution.
No, I think the term we should use for MindPal is super compound AI, actually, because compound AI, as used in Silicon Valley, is maybe just using ChatGPT and then other non-AI platforms on top of it. But what you're doing, like you said, is Gemini, Llama, ChatGPT. You're compounding all the different, and it's like you said, an abstraction. So it's a super compound of all the generative AI tools out there, right? It's a super compound, and so it makes business people not have to rely on bias and inertia, right? Because so, for example, for me, I am using ChatGPT quite a bit, and because I'm so familiar with the ChatGPT interface, I don't go to Llama. I won't go to Gemini as much, right? And that's not a logical behavior. It's just habit, right? And I'm just used to it, and so I'm going to use it. But that doesn't mean I'm going to get the best results, right? And then like I opened a Perplexity account, and frankly, Perplexity and ChatGPT, I compared the results. It's like not that different for me, at least. Maybe the work I do isn't special, but you know, you do need to actually, if you want the best results, sometimes you do want to use different things, and this is true for many things in life, right? Even my parents won't go to the same supermarket to buy the same meat. You know, they'll shop around different markets to get the best. So I think it makes a lot of sense. You're like the super compound AI company. Yeah. Okay. Can I ask you guys other questions? If you don't mind me asking a little bit more about Asia, actually. So both of you are in Asia, in particular you're in Vietnam, and in particular you're in Hanoi. Have you guys ever went abroad into the United States?
One fun fact about us is that we have never been abroad. We had plans multiple times, but we for some reason we push it back, and yeah.
Yeah. I think that's what's some of the most amazing things. It's like that makes you so special now. Is you had the opportunity. You had the opportunity to go to Cornell, UIUC, but you guys didn't go so far. You guys focus on your startup, but your clients are in America.
Yeah.
So, okay, that's really cool. So how are you? That's a great situation, right? You're operating in Asia, but you have clients in America. So how could you speak to that a little bit? You're leveraging Asia to really get your business going. So what's an advantage you have by having your business in Asia, but having your clients somewhere else, not in Asia?
I think the most obvious benefit here is in terms of the revenue and the cost. So you know the cost of operating in Asia, specifically Vietnam, is pretty cheap, and I believe it's much cheaper if we were building in San Francisco right now. I it's a lot of different things from the human resources here to the office, the facilities, all those things. But I and meanwhile we were able to we are able to sell to customers who are in America, Europe, and other parts of the world who have more more purchasing power than compared to if we sell to local people in Vietnam. So I think that's the best part here. Um, yeah. How about you, Tuan? Do you want to add more things here?
I think the cost is obviously the biggest advantage here. And when we say about the cost is cheaper, it's not just cheaper, but the facility and the Wi-Fi connection, the everything, the infrastructure here is quite perfectly like comparable with the US when we compare. Like for example, all of the we have the office of MindPal here. It's actually a 5-star and 5-floor villa in one of the biggest city in Vietnam. But it actually only costs $600 per month to rent the office, and we share the office with another startup, so the cost actually for us is 300, and 300 for the office with a lot of room, actually 8 room in total, and we have room for every people, and we can even sleep here if we want for the employee. So it's actually very cheap here to operate, and it was very valuable in the early day of MindPal, because in the early day we were bootstrapping, and when we bootstrapping, we don't have the external funding, and the revenue from customer is not big enough for us. When we have the low cost here, we can not die. We can still keep alive to keep the building, and we keep selling stuff to the other. So that is the one thing about the cost. The second thing about is the talent and the people here, because despite that Vietnam in specific and Asia, people still think that these are the like the left behind country, but actually the talent here, especially the technical talent, is actually pretty good compared with the US. You can hire a senior software engineer in Vietnam with around the budget around 1,000 or 1,500 US dollar a month, and you can hire a pretty good software engineer here. And compare the cost from the software engineer here with a software engineer in San Francisco, it will be 10x cheaper. And so 10x cheaper, but we can still charge people at the price of the US. So we will have the better margin in the company. So we will have more money to reinvest again into the product and into the company, and then we continue to grow from that. I think not just MindPal, there are a lot of companies recently. I see that people came to Asia to building. When they become bigger, they move back to the US. But when they are building things, when they have to survive in the early for your startup, they came to Asia. Like I read a story recently about the Notion founder. They say that in the first 4 years they were lost because the product was not so good, and they have to rebuild everything. They have to build the product again from the initial version of the product, and they decide to move to Japan to build, because Japan is cheaper compared to the US, and Japan is more quiet, so they can focus more on building and selling, not distracted for the other thing. And we also heard a story about another startup called Zendy AI. They also came to Malaysia to live in the early days when they were still stuck at the very little revenue to build the product, and for now they have been growing to, I don't quite remember, but I see their founder share recently is 6 billion annual recurring revenue, and at that point they can go anywhere. But the Asia is a kind of the launch platform. Like it provides the best infrastructure, facility, and resort for us to get things started, and don't need a lot of external capital or a lot of barrier to get started on the building.
No, Tom, that's so true, and it's so powerful what you're saying. In fact, when you want to build a startup, you want to be in a place that's, you're not going to be too hungry. You want to be full. You want to be happy. You want it to be safe. You want to be, Japan is quiet for an ocean. That's But yeah, I feel like the United States is maybe not a place for early stage startups. It's very hard. You're right. There's a lot of distractions. Things are so expensive. And when you see all your friends who have normal jobs at 9 to 5, working for corporates, and they're eating at nice restaurants, for many US founders, that's hard psychologically. That's, I think, very hard. But like you said, once they are in Asia, they build. When they get bigger, they can move to America, like you said, right? Okay. Well, do you guys plan to move to America at some point? You're a U.S. company, right? MindPal is a Delaware company.
Uh, yeah, totally. Actually, visiting America has always been in our plan. We actually we are right now we are still in the process of wanting to building the product, improving the product, and figuring out like our sales pipeline and everything. But I we are having a plan to visit America when we open a new funding round, because I think it would be the perfect time. To be honest, for our next funding round, we would be more interested in working with global VCs and investors. So as soon as we have a plan for a new funding round, I believe that would be when we come to America.
I think that's wise. But you do want to go to America at some point because it makes sense. I think, especially because your clients are out there, and I think this is my opinion. I think the best of the best companies, um, I mean, unless they're hyper localized, right? Their clientele end up going to America. That's where the lot of capital is, and I think what 60% of the world's capital in the
Mm.
capital markets there. So your clients are there. It makes a lot of sense for that to happen, and it makes a lot of sense for you to actually get more global VCs on your cap table. No, this is all exciting. Um, how about this? Do you find, and this is more of an opinion question, do you think it's hard and difficult for, let's say, non-Asian foreigners to be able to come and start a company in Vietnam? I'm curious. You must know other founders. And I'm curious, you guys are in Vietnam and you're Vietnamese, so it's natural, it's easier, you know your way around. But is it difficult? I'm sure there are people who are thinking this when they're listening to this. They're like, wait, of course it's easy for them, it's natural for them.
From my experience, I have known not a lot, but I think I can not have known like um uh a a, a few foreigners who came to Vietnam and have been building their startup and their company in Vietnam, and many even like love Vietnam so much that they have been living here entirely, like getting married and growing their families here. I think to be honest, I couldn't like find out a difficulty or a challenge that make it hard that deter foreigners from coming into Vietnam, because generally Vietnamese people are very friendly to foreigners, to be honest, and the English speaking skill of Vietnamese people are getting much better, especially for the younger generations. So I think the communication is also getting easier between foreigners and Vietnamese also. Um, yeah, I think I have at least yeah I have known even I have not recently I have known San Francisco startup. They were building San Francisco, but then they decided to move to Vietnam and build the whole team here as well. So I don't I as far as I know, there's no difficulty to come here. if you want to, yeah.
This is all good. And I just want to make sure that we cover the bad too, but there must be some difficulty as well, right? But I mean, you're not from America coming to Vietnam, so maybe it's hard for you to speak on that. But then let's go to the other side then. Let's talk about leveraging Asia to do business on a global economy, right? So there are listeners out here who are in Asia, right? They're born in Asia and they're building a startup in Asia, but they want to leverage Asia's strength, right? The way you guys are doing it to sell to America, right? Is that hard? What's so difficult about that? Or is that easy? What has been your journey about that? And can you speak to this?
I think the most difficult challenge founder and builder or company in Asia or in Vietnam in more specific, they find very challenging to build a global product is that they think that it is very hard and impossible for them to do that. And the reason MindPal can do that is actually because we were stupid at that time and we don't know that it's actually challenging. And we just built the MindPal and we just launched it. And then people, when we talk to people here, they say, oh wow, you can build the global product. Actually, we know nothing. We just find a website called Product Hunt or a place called LinkedIn and we post something there and we launch the product there. And we actually didn't care too much about what is the difference between the local product and the international product. What is the difference between them? And because it's tricky because when they think that it's impossible for them and it is hard for them, they will tend to believe that and they do not take the action on that part. And when they do not take any action, they do not get back any feedback or information about the path to build the global product, and they always get stuck in their local market or in their mind for a very long time. For example, when we build a local business in Vietnam, it will hit the barrier very soon because the Vietnam market is actually only like centralized in Hanoi or Ho Chi Minh City, for example, and you will hit the barrier for growth in very short time. And I see that a lot of smart people in Vietnam, they get stuck at that point. They think that they cannot grow anymore. And the global startup, they think that they have to compete with OpenAI or Meta or Google on the stuff, and they believe that they cannot do that. So from the thinking, they think that they cannot do. It leads to the action. They do not think about that. It leads to the result that they do not get any information or at least any feedback to improve, and they got stuck. And the future generation, they have been told that okay, it's very difficult. You should not do that. And in the future generation, they also think okay, we should not do that. So it's a kind of loop. And but recently, fortunately, I think our story encouraged some of our founder friends to do things globally. They try to be the global from day one instead of the mindset to do the local first and then global later. They try to build the product global from day one. They raise the capital from global VC, not just the local VC, and they talk with the international and global customer.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Actually, we're going to have to figure out a way to collaborate more between MindPal and Ethos, the fund, to promote more global from day one thinking throughout the entire Asian ecosystem. So let's keep thinking about that. And I do think the MindPal product will help do a lot of good for startups out there too. Let's pivot our conversation. This is really, really good. Your thoughts about Asia and leveraging Asia is very, very good, I think. In fact, I'm going to amplify some of that and use some of that quote, Tuan. I think you have some good thinking there. Can we go to some personal business talk then? Are you guys, you're growing. you're doing well. So are you guys trying to hire new people to your company?
Yeah, actually, recently, a fact about us is that we have been operating as a two-person team throughout our first 8 months. Tuan and I did everything together, both coding and selling and everything else. Uh, but recently we have hired one full-time employee and like two interns and one freelancer to help us with the business. You know, back then, I think this sounds this sounds like not a very big thing, but actually it's a big um, uh, change in the way we think about doing startups. To be honest, because previously one reason was because we were bootstrapping the business, and we try to optimize everything for profits. That's why we try to keep the costs super low, and we were pretty against spending money to spending money, even though that money could become could be an investment and not really an expense. But then recently as we started growing more, we found out that we recognize that spending money uh, if we know how to leverage the financial resource we had, it could it could be a huge leverage for us, because um, you know, at the same like back then, if it were just the two of us when we were building, nobody is selling, nobody is marketing about the product. When we were selling, nobody is building. So we started to recognize a lot of areas where we could hire another person to help us to help us do that part. And I think the impact so far has been great since we started hiring more people and do the tasks that we don't want to do, or that we don't have the bandwidth to do. We free up more mental space and energy for most important things. And the most important things in this case for us are very clear: build and sell. So building and selling. So yeah, yeah. So that's for us. I think yeah, I think we are starting to learn to uh, leverage money, not spend money. And I think that's one of the game changing moments for us in our startups. Yeah.
You need to leverage money. You're absolutely right. If you don't leverage money, yeah, it doesn't grow. Um, they say the smartest people are leveraging money, leveraging technology, right? Because it amplifies you, it multiplies you, right? How's your experience right now? I see you guys growing quite a bit. I've seen you guys in that short, maybe even a few months that I've watched you guys grow MindPal. You guys grew a lot, and as managers, even, and as thinkers and business people. Um, okay, like you said, you weren't hiring people in the past, but now you are. What's difficult about managing people? Are you running into some difficulty, or is it all just good and natural and you're having a good time?
Uh,
Mm,
I I think that for me at least, I the biggest challenge in the hiring here, especially in Vietnam, is that convince someone is good to do the startup compare with getting the job in the bigger corporation, and get them to commit into the journey in at least in the next few years. That is the biggest challenge here, because there's the requirement for a guy to work in a small team in MindPal, for example, is that they have to be excellent in their job, because we are a very small team, so we are results driven. So if they cannot get the job done or get the result, they will be out the team. So we need excellent people in each team, because there's no space for like average people here or the mediocre people here. But the excellent people in the Asia, they always have the dream to work at the big corporation, and we always have to explain them like why they should work at the startup first before we explain how why MindPal. So that's actually two explanations for them: why startup first and why MindPal later. I think
Yeah.
in this case, the other country could be easier. In
Mm.
some country, the startup community is big, and people, they are familiar with the success story in the startup. So when they decide to work at a startup, it's actually the question about why the company more. But in here, we need to explain people why the startup, what is the
Yes.
benefit, return on their investment, about the time and commitment, before we explain what is MindPal and why we need to choose MindPal to work on.
That's so insightful. You're absolutely right. I mean, it makes so much sense that you have to convince people in Asia, or at least right now who you're working with, you have to convince them, hey, why startup before you even sell them on MindPal.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. Maybe we should be telling more stories about these success cases in Asia, right? And maybe MindPal can be one of those success stories, right? Like so more people want to do workforce startups, because we have so many people wanting to start startups, founders, but do we have employees who want to work at startups? Enough of them, who are high caliber enough, right? Who are top. Um, yeah, maybe it's hard. You're absolutely right. Another personal related question then is, as you guys grow MindPal, what are you finding is the biggest challenge? One, and two, the biggest joy. I want to hear about the biggest challenge and the biggest joy.
I Yeah, I think I can go first. I think I uh, I think this is both a biggest challenge and the biggest joy for me. Same thing is constantly aiming for higher standards. But once you break that standards, you need to look higher. So let me explain. 1 year ago, I didn't know coding, so I was a business student. Uh, like 2 years before college, I even paved a path for me. My career path should not involve technology because I didn't know anything about it and I hated it. But then when I started doing my first startup, Speak Lab, I recognized the lack of technical understanding, even if you are a business founder. Uh, what is like fatal for yourself and for the business. So I need to educate myself on the technical understanding of a SaaS, of AI and everything. But then after that, I started to recognize another thing. I started to recognize the speed of building inside my startup is too slow for us to take customer feedback, iterate on it, and keep continue. So I decided to learn coding all in, and from somebody who didn't know coding, I learned to build an entire application and work with Tuan. For MindPal, the application you are using is built by me. Tuan handles the data processing and the AI part only. So I handle everything else, the front end, the database for the user activity. But that's not all. Like after I have mastered the coding part, I was now able to build an app. The next standard I need to aim for is not treat this as a coding task, but think about it as a business, as a product. As a coder, it was very clear for you. Like you need to do this function. Just make it work. Just do everything. Just do anything any way you want. But then, like then you need to think from the customer point of view to make the user experience better. Not just the like the feature. The people don't care about the feature. They care about whether you help you deliver value to them, and that would involve a lot of thinking and understanding of the customers to craft that experience, not just coding something. So that's another standard that we need to aim for. And then another standard we need to aim for is how to build a sticky product, and the product that just work. And then yeah, so I think that's a constant race. I think we have never stopped raising our bars. That's both a challenge, because right when I was happy about okay, I just got better at this. I am now an excellent programmer, things like that. I need to face the reality that no, it's you're not there yet. There's a higher bar that you need to aim for. And if you want to grow this business, you need to lower your ego, lower your satisfaction about yourself right now, and think higher, and then keep continuing. So I think that's both a challenge and a joy for me. A challenge because it's hard. It's very hard to keep this kind of momentum, but also a joy because every time I like just like I said previously in this in this episode, we never thought that we would be able to do what we did until we did it. That's because that's right, because when we set a standard, we didn't even know if we ever reached that standard. But then we reached that, and then it opened up more a higher standard to look at. And then yeah, I think it's a exciting journey. Yeah.
What about you, Tom? Challenge or greatest joy of MindPal, doing MindPal right now?
I think greatest challenge not only for me, for every founder, the young founder like me, is that and I think quite similar with Sylvia says is we have to continuously learn the new thing and set the higher standard on what we are doing. We for we could be we were very suck at something, and then we don't suck anymore. But when we compare with the higher standard people, we will still suck. So for example, when I still remember there was a time in the group messenger of the Speak Lab. The title was the target 25,000 revenue a month, and we thought that it could be impossible to do that. We just set the target high like that to do, and now when we reach that kind of revenue a month, now we are thinking about we still suck because we compare ourselves with the folk who are doing 100, 200 a month, 1,000 a month, and we still feel that we need to learn a lot more. And we always, I always feel that I'm stupid because I always know the better person and the better founder, and I feel that okay, I'm so stupid on this thing, and we need to learn more about that. So that is the constantly thing we need to learn more and upgrade the higher standard every day. And but also the biggest joy is I think the biggest joy is when we build MindPal. In some way, we as an engineer and builder at heart, I think we are setting the kind of future, the infrastructure for the future generation. Let me explain. For example, when we are living now, we are inherit the infrastructure and the legacy from the older generation who were building operating system who like Bill Gates building the Microsoft, so we can run all the application on top of Microsoft, or the folk who are building cloud computing, the folk who were building the iPhone or the smartphone or the hardware, the CPU that we are using. So it sets the legacy for the generation. So we have the sense of we are building something really valuable, and that is not just the money. I think it is about the wisdom we can share to the other generation and the legacy we have been, because AI is pretty new right now. The infrastructure is not stable yet. We still have a lot of technical question behind, and the go-to-market strategy and tactics behind. We haven't explored any kind of playbook or any kind of guide for engineer
Yeah.
or to seller. And we, when we build these things, we can share the wisdom with the younger generation later, and we can set the new standard for them. So they do not have to start from here. They can start from the higher standard, and they became better.
Yeah. I think I need to add to this because I also agree with this too. Because funny thing is that we just talked about this yesterday or earlier today, I think. So we read somewhere that Mark Zuckerberg said that the consequences of underinvesting in AI would be much greater than overinvesting. And we think this is applicable for not only a business like Meta, but also for ourselves as like personally as well, because as we build MindPal, we have when we built MindPal, we were still among like the first wave of applications built on top of generative AI. So everything was new, and like even the infrastructure or the frameworks were not even stable, and we need to there were a lot of things we invented. And that was both that was fun to think to look back on, because when we did these things, like Tuan and I, we couldn't find anywhere that teach us how to do this, so we just make up some way to do this. So even the naming, for example, we called it an AI agent back when there were not a lot of apps use this term. Then we call it an AI workflow or all those things. They were all like created by us, and it was fun. It was also a fun to look at, because in some way we are paving like helping pave the path for the later apps. So I remember there were this quote I read in an essay that I learned in ninth grade, that really stick with me. So people that was from a Chinese literature that were taught in school. I don't know. I'm not sure if I translated it to English correctly, but essentially what it means is when people think of roads or paths, they think of the roads that are walked, but the paths that are not walked could be passed too. So so
Because initially there's no path in the earth initially.
yeah, and that really stick with me. Even when we were building MindPal, or even when we like outside of MindPal, we were making the decisions about our life. Sometimes we were affected by the past of others, but if people were just fixated on the past of others, there wouldn't be new paths that would be discovered. So I think that's what that was the saying that really stick with me up until now, and I think somehow, like when we were building MindPal, that kind of exploring a new path is really thrilling. Yeah.
I love your challenges, guys, and your joys. I love the big vision that you are designing kind of the infra, the network, almost the language that the future generations will use, and you're going to pass that on further. I love that a lot. Okay, just let's just to kind of wrap things up. Is there a message that both of you, and we'll ask each of you, want to say to people who want to leverage Asia, right? Whether they're in America or in Asia, is there a message that you want to share with them? Please.
I think I will give the message to those founders who are already uh, Asia or who already live in Asia or in Vietnam about leveraging the Asia and building the product. It just they just need to get started, and because I told earlier is that we build a global product because we were stupid and we know nothing. So we just launched the product on the global, and because people just came and we grow the business, and we did not have the problem in our mind about the challenge like the capital or the understanding about culture or understanding about the market or how we can meet our client in the office, some of the problems like that. And for a lot of founder and company in Vietnam, I feel that they are waiting for something that can trigger their growth for the building the global business. It could be they waiting for funding, for example. They waiting to have David to fund them to build the global product and sell to the global audience. Or they waiting for talent. Or they waiting for something else. And they think that there is some kind of trigger event that can lead them to the path of the global business. But actually, the trigger event is that they just get started. Just get started is a trigger event, and that trigger event will lead to some of the result. The result will give them information and feedback to move forward to build. And I think that is the message I could give to them.
Nice. Just get started, right? Just get started. Okay.
Yeah, because Tuấn mentioned that actually we were invited to a talk recently at Tech Combine, one of the leading banks in Vietnam, and so the topic was pretty like freestyle. So they just wanted us to share about our story and journey, and at the end. We There were three key takeaways that we have mentioned at in that talk that were, I think, that were really basic things, old lessons, but I think but we still need to keep reminding us of those lessons every day. Just get started by that. Just getting started is one lesson among them, and the other two are don't quit and do hard things. So these lessons are nothing new. Like that, they are so old. They are so cliche. I know, but then, yeah. To be honest, like there, even when we are building MindPal, there are a lot of lessons that are nothing new to us, but we still need to remind ourselves every day. So that's when like the word that we use is not to like like learn something new, but actually to remind yourself that this, and we Tuan and I kept telling each other that, and I think these lessons are very basic, but if so like but as founders, because we are we have to deal with a lot of things every day, from building to selling, talking to customers, maybe creating content, maybe helping like hiring people and managing people. Sometimes we are taken like uh, swaying away from by those tasks that we forget the basic lessons that we have learned. So so I think what I wanna say here is to I think two founders, not necessarily if they are from Asia or the US, or if they want to leverage Asia or not, is that I hope they will just get started, and I hope they wouldn't quit, because I think these are the two uh, basic but I think very powerful things. Because just to give them an example. If we still believe the most powerful thing to wealth, like whether it is like financial wealth or intellectual wealth or any kind of wealth, uh, is is time. And if we keep doing one thing, just keep going, keep showing up every day, I think that those little efforts that we do every day will have a compounding effect much bigger than we could imagine. Because for us personally, we around this same time a year ago, we also questioned our path a lot. We were also during that time, our first startup didn't work out. We were broke, like the poorest we have ever been. In the last 5 years, actually, we were poorer than than we were in high school. And then we were poor in finances, we were poor in morale, we were poor in our confidence, everything. But for some reason, we still believe. We actually we had a quote that we hang in our office back then. That was when you think about giving up, remember what made you started, and that made us keep going, and that eventually led to MindPal. That eventually led to a lot of other wonderful things that happened. And I'm sure our journey wouldn't end here. But I think, yeah, the two things that we want to say here, just getting started and don't quit, may be very basic, but I think each like when you these lessons, when you actually start doing, you will have your own experiences to reflect on, and those experiences will make the lessons like even stickier and more meaningful to you. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love it. Just get started. Don't quit. But you did say do hard, difficult things too. But don't quit.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Okay, no, guys, thank you so much. MindPal, everybody. This was MindPal.
The biggest problem back then was that we didn't talk to customers enough. So we were distracted from the core.
The Asia is a kind of the launch platform. Like it provides the best infrastructure, facility, and resource for us to get things started, and don't need a lot of external capital or a lot of barrier to get started contributing.